Fire them up. Yep, you are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 1039 WYAB. Excited to be here. We are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming at the mothership, WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch that is 1039, like, share, and subscribe to one of our streams. We'd appreciate it. Helps us out a lot. Also, I would like you to follow me on X. It'd be great. It's just at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. Excited for that. And hey, if you want to be part of the show today, I think there are going to be some people who want to talk about War Day. And I have a very different view of it, I think, than most people do. I might agree with the way that I'm thinking, but maybe not the way that I get there. And that's all right. But if you want to talk about it, the number is 601 879 0002. Text line is open 601 879 5060. Yep. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. And this is one that I haven't busted out before, but I'm busting it out today. Proverbs 25:11 says, a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in a setting of silver. You know, how we package our words is quite critical to effective communication. You can tell someone you love them without saying the word love. You can tell someone they stink without saying the word stink. And what has happened with this tweet or this truth from President Trump has completely set the world on fire, which makes me believe that the mission of Operation Brain Drain is complete. No one can actively critically think for themselves. Everybody is influenced by social media one way or another, all except my senior political advisor. My senior political advisor turned 30 years old this year, and that guy does not have a Facebook account, Instagram account, TikTok account, X account, whatever else account, completely unplugged from the internet when it comes to that. And I'll tell you what, one of the most logical and critical thinkers I know. And I am watching people who I admire, respect, just completely going unhinged and crazy. And the crazy is just not here in the United States. It's all around the globe. It's all around the globe, ladies and gentlemen. And one of the things that gets me about our great president, President Trump, who I'm going to support through thick and thin. I'm not one of these people who sits there and takes a girl to the dance and then dumps her off to try to get the next big thing. Kind of like what some of these paid influencers are doing. These grifters. See and I think it was Clay that kind of posited something like this in my brain, but it's all about the clicks, right? It's all about the visibility. How many clicks can you get on your X account? How many views can you get on your TikTok? How many people can you attract? How can you monetize it? Right? That's all about what we're doing. We're monetizing. We're monetizing the grift. We're monetizing the news. We're not thinking. We're looking to be either A, told what to think, or have somebody say something that agrees with what I think to reinforce my ideology, confirmation bias. I like to think that I get to a certain point, but I never go in the straight line like so many people do. They just go in a straight line. Shortest way to get between 2 points is a straight line. And a simple piece of paper, you can prove that wrong. I can totally prove that wrong. And we have become so conditioned to listen to our favorite newscaster on the mainstream media, our favorite radio host on the radio, our favorite podcaster, our favorite YouTube channel, our favorite people to follow on Facebook or Instagram. We don't read books anymore. We don't exercise our brain. What do people do when they're running on the treadmill or they're running around? What do they have? They got earbuds plugged into their head. It's like they're loading a 5 1/4 inch floppy disk hard drive into their brain. This is what I need to think. This is what I need to read. And then we think about it and we say, "You know what? I'm doing good. I'm self-improving myself. This is self-improvement. I'm learning about finance. I'm learning about spirituality. I'm learning about dogs. I'm learning about farming." And we don't truly reconnect with our creator. We do that on Sundays sometimes, or every once in a while, if the 10 to noon guy goes off on a heater on some scripture, I'll get it there. But we're not thinking, and we do not understand what true suffrage is in America. We do not understand what true poverty is in America. We do not understand what a true dictatorship is in America. But we'll get on Twitter and get our 5.2 million views, our 163,000 heart emojis, 72,000 retweets, and 15,000 comments. I didn't get ratioed, so it must be right. I just keep on going back to this one exercise I was put through, and I won't go through the whole thing. I'm just gonna say chicken or beef, chicken or beef, chicken or beef, pick, 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 move, 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 go, 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 go. Make a decision, make a decision. If you know, you know. And that's what's happening not just here in Mississippi or the United States, but this is what's happening around the world. With great power comes great responsibility. Everybody loves the power. No one wants any of the responsibility. I'm not even sure how I wanna start this, but I think let's go right here. I'm gonna just play a segment of this, and then I wanna give my opinion on it, and I'd like your opinion on it too.
الله ما أكبر أمريكا ما أكبر أمريكا ما أكبر أمريكا ما أكبر أمريكا
Death
ما
to
أكبر
America.
أمريكا ما
Death to
أكبر
America.
أمريكا ما
Death to
أكبر
America.
أمريكا ما أكبر أمريكا ما أكبر أمريكا ما
That is the Iranian parliament that just met the other day. That's the IRGC government, the religion aspect of the Iranian government. Every day for the last 47 years, they've been screaming death to America. They've been screaming it longer, but that's just when they took over the country. They have the world in a chokehold, and their military effective rate, through conventional means, of course, is about 2%. And yet they have great nations. I say that with a grain of salt. Great nations like England, like France, like Spain, like Italy, like Germany, completely on its knees and begging a bunch of tyrants for mercy because they're so addicted to oil. And that's not to say that the United States doesn't have its addictions to oil, but we can produce our own. One of the favorite sayings, I've been saying it since I was a young adult and it first popped into my mind. And I guess it came from military training, and I wasn't putting out enough during the middle of a evolution. And I'll never forget this fine petty officer came up to me and said, "Hey, gasser, what can you produce now? What are you producing? Are you carrying the load?" And the truth of the matter is, at that exact moment in time, my shoulders were a little weak, my tries were burning, my biceps were not happy, my head was clear, or at least I thought it was clear. But what can I produce? So I think, what does England actually produce that is appreciated around the world? Outside of football, AKA soccer, I can't think of a damn thing that England produces that I've got to have. If I go to France, well, they got wine and cheese. They've got some fashion. I mean, England doesn't even produce any fashion. They don't produce cars. You definitely don't want any of their military equipment. What does the French really produce? What is it that Germany really produces? Something tangible that you can sink your hands into and say, "They produce this." I know that we used to all brag and think about German engineering. Is it cars? German cars, maybe? How about Italy? Let's be honest, Italian food is bomb. Maybe that's not the right word to use in the current situations, but Italian food is the bomb. I can remember right after Christmas 1995, the USS America pulled into the port of Trieste, and I took my dudes out, and we went to this restaurant, and there was a m but before we got to this restaurant, there was a mile long, a quarter of a mile long, lined up with sailors from the USS America Carrier Air Wing 1 team. You know what that line was for? Frickin' McDonald's in the middle of Trieste, Italy. I think we had about 10 of us, and we found this hole in the wall Italian restaurant, and I said, "Everybody, give me 10 bucks." And this was 1995 when 10 bucks actually meant something. The Italian lira was in the crapper, and we put up $100 in that little Italian mom and pop joint, and we ate like Caesar. We man, so Italian can produce something, Italy can produce something. And then I look at my own country, America, what do we produce? I would argue that we've produced a lot of technology, a lot of food, a lot of technology. Like I said, our ability, our culture is something that is used to be really great. Sadly, I think the United States is the world's leader in the production of pornography and trans ideology. And then I think, what does Iran produce? Iran produces oil, and they produce Hamas and Islamic Jihad and all the other proxies that have gone around and killed not millions, thousands and thousands of people. And when we get back, I'm going to expose you to what is being said around the world. And I'm going to challenge you to this. Is it because America is a bully, or is it because the rest of the world got soft and forgot where they came from? You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB. We'll be right back. Yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB. Saying the unpleasant things out loud. Maybe coming from a point of view that you agree with, and maybe that you don't. And for those of you who don't agree with me, you're scratching your head saying, why the hell am I listening to this guy in the first place? But yet, here we are. Just us. The guy on the radio talking into a microphone. Now, when I took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States, I meant against all enemies, foreign and domestic. What is happening in England right now? Listen to this. You've got to hear this. When I heard this, it was sent to me by a listener, unknown texter. I don't know who you are, but you made the show. Thank you very much. I do see all of your texts. I don't get to go through them all, but I always try to go through them. And if it fits the show, it fits the show. If it doesn't fit the show and it's that darn good, well, then it's going in the show, just like this clip right here.
I think it would be good if Iran captured this American airman
because
to use him as a bargaining chip to stop this madness, stop this. Trump has lost the plot, and it's just out of control. I mean, this war now is not about Iran or the Iranians. It's about American interests, other interests. It's not about the Iranian people or Iran.
But I didn't think I'd take a call from anyone saying, I hope the Iranians catch
not
the
so much
airman
hope.
and use him as a chip. But you think that would be an indirect way to...
When they lose one of their men in action, it crashes.
Listen to it right here. When we lose one of our men and it crashes,
they will do what they send in a whole team to rescue. They send in helicopters.
They're already doing it. They've done it. They're doing it.
They do to recover it. So it's a big issue for America and American people. So unfortunately, it's just the way it is. I don't really hope it.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be mistreated by Iran as well.
That is the kind of liberal rot gut garbage that has been taken over. That has taken over England, in Great Britain, whatever you want to call it. They're so screwed up. They got to borrow warships from Germany, their mortal enemy from World War II, to go out and patrol their own territories. They can't even keep up their end of the nuclear triad. If you know, you know. And we know. You know, it takes, and I heard this on some news station. It was a general. I don't know which general it was, but he was a wise one. It takes us, what, a year to produce a C-130? If we really cranked it up, we could punch one out pretty quick if we had to. It takes up to 2 years to produce one of those little birds. I don't know why, but I did ask somebody who would know, and they just said, that's how long it takes. And I said, I don't need to know why. And he said, good, because I'm not going to tell you anyway. But it's about 2 years. It takes 200 years of constantly preaching and practicing that we will leave no one behind for us to do what we do. And that scares the hell out of every single other country on this earth. They know that the United States will not quit. We will not leave a man or woman behind. We will go in and we will get them and we will do whatever it takes. You know what kind of arguments I like moderating? Two civilians, Americans, of course, arguing at a bar or at a restaurant. Who is better? SEAL Team 6 or Delta Force? And these guys will sit there and they'll be throwing it down. And inevitably, the sweepies looking at me like, Andy, don't do it. Andy, don't do it. So I don't, but I make it obvious that I'm listening to it. And I'm listening to these two geezers go at it. And I just simply ask the question, I'm like, what branch of service are you from? Oh, I didn't serve. What branch of service are you from? Oh, I didn't serve. I'm like, it really doesn't matter whether it's SEAL Team 6 or Dev Group. You're going to die. And you didn't even bring up the PJs or the Recon or 160th SOAR. You didn't bring up the CIA and the things that they do. Right now, China and Russia are crapping their pants. because they know the capabilities that they have. And the world just saw a prime demonstration of what happens when America goes, oh, shoot, we got a situation. 45 hours and 54 minutes, the chat room was open while Dude 44 Bravo was on the ground in hostile territory. Never quit. We never ceased. And I don't know who Dude 44 Bravo is, but Dude 44 Bravo knew that his brothers in arms, his sister in arms, that he was the main objective and the world was watching him. CIA, NSA, and all the other A's, three-letter agencies. We knew where he was. We didn't let anything. And yep, we did. We lost 2 C-130s. We lost 4 Little Birds and a mess of Reaper drones. To quote Donald Rumsfeld from the Gulf War, or on the War on Terror back in 2002, when we lost our first Predator drone, it was a brave microchip. And we would have lost 100 of them to go get Dude 44 Bravo, which means in the Bravo, for those of you who don't know, the pilot was Dude 44 Alpha. The Wizzo was Dude 44 Bravo, the backseater. And you know what? I know Air Force Special Forces was involved. I know Marines Special Forces was involved. I know the Army Special Forces was involved. I know the SEALs were involved. And quite frankly, if you talk to all of them as a man, no one gives a crap about who got the credit for it. They're all happy that we got Dude 44 Bravo home safely. And meanwhile, the country that we came from, Great Britain, is hoping that the Iranians catch our guy. You know, I can still remember Gulf War I. The very first plane shot down was a British Tornado. And I can remember seeing the guy's face that when Iraq put him on Iraqi TV, and he had the crap beat out of him. And I can just remember sitting there thinking to myself, man, I wish we could have got him. I don't want to see my brothers in arms, allies of the United States, go through that garbage. And yet, the internet has polluted humanity's way of thinking so much that all they care about is their immediate needs. They can't be a part of something bigger than themselves. They can't understand the joy of a team victory where your part might only be cheering on the sidelines. We've got people who are quote unquote patriotic, who are somehow cheering for a regime that absolutely destroys women's right to do just about anything other than give birth and have sex. That's how women are looked at in Islam. No one wants to talk about that. Hell, the state of Mississippi doesn't even want to pass anti-Sharia bills. Meanwhile, Florida does, Texas does, Louisiana does. Why are we behind? We're supposed to be the leaders in conservative thought. I'm told that all the time. I'm not ripping any state legislature or state senator or the governor or lieutenant governor. I'm just saying, what does it got to take to make this an issue for you? It's not fun clubbing politicians over the head because it almost never works. Example 1, Donald Trump. You can attack Trump all day long. He feeds off of it. He lives off of it. He derives energy from it. He knows that most of it was BS, or all of it is BS, to be honest with you. ABC had stood up a news division inside ABC News. This is confirmed now, by the way. A division of 75 people whose sole job in 2016 it was to destroy Donald Trump politically. Does that sound like a free press to you? Or does that sound like a weaponized press? Tulsi Gabbard came out today saying that there was no Russia collusion in 2016. Russia, Russia, Russia. That's all we were told. Hillary Clinton. She's sitting there sleeping with kids, allegedly. Bill Clinton's sleeping with kids, allegedly. Don't you think that's a little bit more enemy to the state than Donald J. Trump? We have completely forgotten how to think logically and think and solve problems critically. And I'm not beating anybody up who disagrees with me. I'm just saying, from where I see, I've got more examples of this when we get back right here on the Andrew Gosser Show. You are tuned in to 1039 WYAB. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB. In the next hour, I think we're going to have to talk about Israel because that's what seems to have the political right up in arms right now. We can't tell if they're our friends. We can't tell if they're our foes. Some days we like Israel. Some days we don't like Israel. Everybody's ticked off at Mossad. It's everywhere. But I want to get back to defending the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I want to talk about a lady named Melissa Mari. Very public profile, not doxing. She is Antifa. She's got her little pin that says so. She's got herself wearing a t-shirt that says, not inspiring to be humble. I like to think I'm a humble guy. Sweet Bee, wouldn't you say I'm a humble guy? You know who was humble? Pastor Franco. He was a humble guy. I'm trying to be humble. But I want you to listen to what Miss Marie says here. And I've listened to this twice and I didn't hear a curse word, but I will have my finger on the deedle button just in case. But let's listen to what this Miss Marie has to say.
You take them hostage and you use them for leverage. So guess what Iran did? They put a bounty out on his head, and whoever finds him gets a great award. I can't wait. Hopefully it's like money or jewels. I hope the person who finds him is very poor and ends up being very wealthy. And I hope Iran holds their promise. Yeah.
That is a sick, demented American. Well, I can tell you who found him. It was the United States Special Forces who found him. And you know what? They will have cold beverages waiting for them back upon landing. Dude 44A and Alpha and Dude 44 Bravo are being reintegrated as we speak. And you are a loser. And the thing is that I took an oath to defend this country and this Constitution so that losers like you can have your opinion played all across the airwaves and around the interwebs. So let's do it again, shall we?
You take them hostage and you use them for leverage. So guess what Iran did? They put a bounty out on his head, and whoever finds him gets a great award. I can't wait. Hopefully it's like money or jewels. I hope the person who finds him is very poor and ends up being very wealthy. And I hope Iran holds their promise.
Now, I do not want any ill will to come to Miss Marie, Miss Melissa Marie. Don't want any harm to come to her whatsoever. She has a right to her opinion. I think she's stupid as hell. I think she's wrong. I think she's delusional and needs to go be checked into checked and seen by a psychiatrist. But the internet is producing a lot of women like this. There's men too, but it just seems the women get the clicks. Maybe it's just natural biology kicking in. There's so many of these women out there who have grand schemes planned, grand designs planned. Now, it's not even debatable anymore that there was fraud in Georgia. They've got over 125,000 ballots that were completely uncertified but counted, that should have never been counted. But here is Miss Suzanne running for Georgia State House. Oh, Suzanne Karatas. Holy cow. How? Okay, it's Greek. Karatassos. Susanna Karatassos. Here's her on her TikTok saying what she's going to do when she's the new state rep in Georgia.
When this is all over and Trump is gone and Democrats are back in charge and we're rebuilding everything, the punishment for MAGA for voting Trump 3 times needs to be that they lose their internet access for 4 years, that they cannot post videos or comments on social media for 4 straight years, so that none of us are subjected to their lies and misinformation while we are rebuilding the chaos that they caused. The whole world and America gets to be without their BS online for 4 straight years. Can we all agree to this?
That's a real hot take right there. How many of you could go 4 years without your internet? Think about it. You wanna talk about real addiction? How many of you could survive without internet for a day? For 2 days? We really haven't had a disaster in a major metropolis area where we've gone without internet for a long time because it always bounced back quickly. There was that hurricane that wiped out the eastern or maybe it was the western side of North Carolina, and Biden didn't send in FEMA quick enough, and people were dying, and there was no communication. But I'm like, what happens if a Katrina Vanden Heuvel hit New Orleans again, and there was no way to communicate? I don't want it to happen, but I am trying to put into practicality what this woman is saying. Now, does her law only work for Georgia? So people who voted for Trump in Georgia don't get internet for 4 years, but those of us who voted for Trump and were like in Mississippi, we still get our internet for 4 years? I know many of you listen to this program, but you're on the blue collar crew, you're working, you're driving around, and you're listening, and you don't get the chance to call in. But could you live without YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok? Could your church live without it? Could your synagogue live without it? I won't say mosque because they don't use that in mosque anyway. We are rapidly approaching this point where everything's gotta be so hyped up and so serious. And we all have to have our hot takes. And I had a hot take. I'm not afraid to say it. Let me find it right here. President Trump had that tweet. And again, remember, this is coming from Christian, husband, father, farmer, veteran, recovering politician. This is the recovering politician in me. And just like that, there goes the House and Senate. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped into one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the, we'll use the word frigging. Open the frigging straight, you crazy rascals. You will be living in hell. Just watch it. Praise be to Allah, Donald J. Trump, President Donald J. Trump. Now, some people say he was mocking Iran and their religion. And I guess if you've got the power to go do that, you do. Me, as a recovering politician, while I agree with the sentiments, I would have not stated it like that. And I know that many of you feel the same way. It's not that we don't like what President Trump does, he backs it up, but some of us have a problem with the way he says things. And that's humanity. Are you still upset that women are being sprayed down with acid in Iran when they don't have their burqa put on just right? Are you all right with the mullahs going ahead and headhunting Christians in Iran? Or the new fatwa that just came out that said if you're not a Muslim in Iran, that they're gonna start beheading people? Are you okay with the clear and obvious war crime of putting women and children around designated military targets? Andrew, power plants aren't military targets. Well, if you go and read the laws of armed conflict, which I have, which you can too, you can type it into Grok, it'll tell you. You can type it into Google, it's a lot harder to find. But lines of communication, power plants, water desalination plants, all targets if it can be proven that they're being used for military purposes, which there will be no doubt that the president has that already on video from space-based assets or intelligence assets of some sort. You're more upset about a tweet than you are about the human suffering in Iran. under a bat spit crazy regime. That screams death to America. It's like everybody wants to be a lion until it's time to do lion things. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. God is good. God is good. That's not Andrew Gosser saying that. That is the first thing that dude 44 Bravo posted over his secure radio when he was checking in for the first time. giving thanks to God for ejecting. Wish we had more people doing that here in America. We might be in a little bit better place, a better headspace. I got some texts here I want to read because I've been horrible at reading them. So this unknown texter says, I wouldn't be able to work, let alone pay the bills personally. I wouldn't mind going without the internet, but you need it to do to a certain degree. That lady sounds crazy. I could live without social media, but the emails. How would that work with people who are in the medical field? Almost anywhere you go nowadays, you've got to have an email. Yep, we are dependent upon the internets. That goes without saying. I got another text here. Andrew, somebody needs to slap those demented winches sideways. Well, no, they need a reality check. I agree with that, but I don't. I don't necessarily. Thank you for unknown texter for texting me that, and I also saw the thing about ginseng. I'll get back to you on that. But we don't need to necessarily slap the wench. Although some people might think that that's a good idea, I just it never works out well that way. But illustrating the absurdity with absurdity works every time it's tried. And these crazy liberal women are absolutely psychotic and demented. And they're out there, ladies and gentlemen. They're part of the 6-7 Pink Punini platoon. They are out there, and they will work you over. They'll make a good man go crazy. There's so much happening in the world right now, and I'm gonna quote Sarah Adams. She's known as Superbad. You can see her on the Sean Ryan Show. She actually writes a weekly column. CIA targeter analyst, and she says it's amazing how many people on this platform here have clearly never watched a real-time negotiation with a terrorist regime or any terrorist entity for that matter. This isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's pressure, consequences, and making it unmistakably clear that in the Iranian regime won't change their ways. They were highly risk being ended. And then she has another 3 or 4 paragraphs, which I'm not going to read, but I'll repost it on my X if you want to. She's a must follow, in my opinion. You want to talk about knowing about what's going on inside the different intelligence agencies and putting it out into the clear in a way that's legal. It's Sarah Adams, aka Superbad. And again, what's this all coming down to? One of the basic principles. I need to make this another rule of politics. Maybe it's a rule of life. We are what we can consume. Do we consume good food or bad food? Do we consume good things or bad things? What is it in life that makes us go round? I'm telling you this, things are going quickly, and it's I've been corrected. It's not 8:00 Tehran time. It's 8:00 Eastern time. So there's still time to negotiate. There's still time to go out there and find a peaceful resolution to this. The mullahs, the clerics, the sheikhs, those who teach in the madrasas, not going to end well for you. But in the next hour, we've got to talk about Israel. And we will do that here on the Andrew Gosser Show. I can debate both sides of it because I've sat down and thought about it for long enough to know. Some of you will like it, some of you won't. We'll be right back. Fire them up. Yep, you are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show, and lots of people texting in. I appreciate all the texts. We are streaming on Rumble, we are streaming on X, we are streaming on YouTube, and we are streaming on the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch that is WYAB 1039, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the stream. Greatly appreciate it. And follow me on X. It's at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. To the texters who wanted the video of that Georgia delegate, I've retweeted it. And also the crazy guy from England who was hoping that the American pilot or Wizzo, Dude 44 Bravo. Actually, it wouldn't be called Dude 44. I don't sound like an air crewman at all. Man, that's weak. I apologize to all my Air Force aviator brothers out there. It's Dude 44. Man, man, it just goes to show you, once you get out of the business, you kind of start slipping into that civilian life. Makes it all go crazy, kind of like not going to church. If you want to be part of the program, the number is 601-879-0002. Text line is 601-879-5060. Appreciate them all. The mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and a setting of silver. Yep. You can tell somebody that they're dirty and smelly without being rude. Might need a shower, bro. Just saying. But that's not the way President Trump rolls. And if he did all of a sudden start acting like that, we would be wondering what was happening with him. Now, I promised I would get into the whole what side of Israel am I on, because that is one of the questions coming from many of the leftist people out there calling me a Zionist pig. And I can argue both sides of the equation. But Brother Rick came up with a good text to me, and I want to use it because I think it's important that, because there are so many people out there who are thinking like Rick, who won't speak their mind like Rick. And I love Rick because he will call me up and he will challenge me and he will make me think. And quite frankly, sometimes he calls in and takes over the show, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm grateful for you, Rick. But I think we're disagreeing on this a little bit, and I want to see if I can maybe persuade you to not necessarily come to my side of or point of view, but maybe just see it a little bit differently. He goes, hijabs, yeah, they suck, but killing the whole country is okay. I do not believe for 1 second that Trump is going to kill every single human in Iran. I think he wants to go after the IRGC, and he wants to go after the secret police, the Bizja, I think is how you say it. But I think that's a little bit outstanding. He said he's going to end the civilization. We ended the Nazi civilization without killing all the Germans. Yeah, there's still people out there who believe that garbage, but we ended them as a power. There are all sorts of civilizations that rise and fall. And I would go back to the comments of Superbad. Remind you, they have not done anything to us, the United States. Iran hasn't done anything to the United States. Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia, they were directly linked to that. The Marine barracks in Beirut, directly linked to that. Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and Hezbollah, all their terrorist activities. And Rick, I see, and maybe it's because I've seen things that perhaps other people haven't been privy to see, and I'm not going to ever divulge what that is, but the amount of times Iran and the Islamic Republic of Iran have attacked the United States directly through their proxies, there have been hundreds and thousands of deaths. What's going on in Iraq? I mean, the country of Iraq with a Q. That's all Shia Muslims, all Iranian faith Muslims doing that stuff. And what's really bad about this, Rick, is that it's China and Russia who are pumping all of this technology into Iran so that they can get it out to all of their proxies. And I think that there's a point to where people can say, "Oh, let me take this call real quick." Hello, you're on the air.
Good morning. Just to expound a little bit on this Iran, Israel, U.S. conflict, I think the U.S. and Israel really need to take a step back here, because I don't think we're going to get the desired results or even the stated goals or aspirations that they believe were going to come to fruition, as far as the Iranian people taking back their government. One, the Iranian people don't have any weapons, so it really made no sense. And now the rhetoric sounds like when the Iranian people are not first in this equation, they're last. It sounds like money is at the root of it now, oil. So screw the people as long as we get the oil flowing.
How much oil does the United States get from Iran, sir?
No, I didn't say the United States. See, here's
how much does Israel get? How much does Israel get?
No. Listen to me now.
Mm-hmm.
The people that finance, let's say the people that finance and give Trump money, give Jared Kushner money. Think about this now. They lose money. So now I'll give you a prime example. Saudi Arabia. We talk about terrorism. Saudi Arabia's been giving money to terrorists for, I don't know, forever and a day. And they have. And they killed a journalist, Jamal Khashoggi, who blew up the Twin Towers. They came from Saudi Arabia. And you know what we did?
And who funded?
And who did we attack?
John, I hear you. And, I don't like cutting people off. I just want to interject certain bits that are being left out. And I'm going to let you go. I promise. I always do. But
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
They were Saudi Arabia's, but it was the Islamic Republic of Iran that funded a lot of it. And again, this is where it gets a little blurry and a little messy. And I'm not trying to steamroll you or nothing. I'm just trying to say, I agree with you that people who are making money off of oil are against this. That's why you see countries like England, in Spain, in France, in Germany, they're all against this because they're comfortable living with taking their take off of that oil. And as long as they can get their cut of the money, they don't want any change. But as soon as change starts to happen, now all of a sudden, the English are hoping that our pilot gets caught and stuff like that. I'll let you continue, because I do agree with you that Saudi Arabia is not clean and perfect like some people want to say.
And I'll give you a prime example, Qatar.
Yep.
Qatar's been funding money to the PLO,
Hamas,
Hezbollah,
huge Hamas.
I mean, so here's the problem I have with this.
Mm-hmm.
See, either we're going to be consistent, or either we're going to say, well, they let us have a base there, and they gave us an airplane, and they gave they gave us money and all this kind of thing. That's what bothers me about this. Either we're going to have a consistent, righteous policy, or if you give us money and we think it's in our best interest to deal with you because you're going to invest in the United States, but you're killing our people with your extremists who give money to people like Hamas. So my thing is, we aren't righteous in our aspirations here. We're just not righteous. I mean, it sounds like when we follow the money, and when you follow the money, nothing good happens. I mean, look, Iraq, where are we at? Afghanistan, where are we at? And the sad thing here, we're going to go and blow up the country. Then we're going to have to find money to rebuild the country. Then when you rebuild the country, then guess what? Who's still left? Are you really going to have regime change? No, if you're going to do it, you got to have a coalition to do this. And just Israel and the United States, this is just not going to work.
Let me add one little thing, John, because you brought up an interesting point, a coalition. Did we not have a coalition in Gulf War I?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And did we not have a coalition in Gulf War II?
Well, we had coalition of the willing.
Yeah. And then how about Afghanistan?
And we had a coalition. I said, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and do
But
we have a
here's the problem.
coalition? Do we? Wait, I'm trying to get to a point about the importance of a coalition. So I'm not trying to belittle you or anything like that. There is a coalition right now. It is the United States, it's Israel, it's Qatar, it's Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, and Kuwait. And tacitly, you can throw in Iraq and Turkey, who are not happy with the Shia Muslim religion, which is what Iran perpetrates. If you go and look in the Persian area, the Middle East area, there's two types of Islam: Sunni and Shia.
Yeah,
And the
that's right.
Sunnis,
Yeah,
none of the
that's right.
Sunnis like the Shia, and the Shia is
That's right.
primarily based in Iran, and they all want to see Iran go. They call Iran bullies. They call them terrorists. They don't like them. And so when you say we got to build a coalition, I, I'm not sure if it's a coalition we need, or do we need to rethink how we fight war in general? And I know that's
Well,
because it just seems to me since World War II, no one's really stuck the foot on anybody's throat and said, we're not going to let our foot up. We're going to crush it. Like we did with Nazi
but here's
Germany, like we did with Imperial
the,
Japan. Go ahead, sir.
you know what? But that was a righteous war. See, what I look at when we say righteous, that means everybody says this is just universally wrong. What we did in this situation is you were at the negotiation table, and then while you're at the negotiation table, you decide we're gonna blow up the regime, and all of a sudden the people are gonna come running in the streets. I'm like, come on, you're not that bright. You telling me nobody else in the last 47 years had that thought process?
John,
It's not going.
you just perfectly made my point. We've been negotiating with these terrorists for the last 40 years, 47 years, and nothing's got done. And for the first time, legitimately, I think we can agree on this. This is legitimately the first time that the United States, along with its proxies, Israel and other undisclosed countries, have gone in there and really put the hammer down on Iran. This is the first time it's ever happened. And I
Can I
would
ask you a
just
question?
I'd submit to you that civilian casualties, the IRGC has killed more Iranians than Americans and Israelis put together. And I would also say that the Iranian military is at less than 2% capable of what it was when this started. So but I also have to say this. I agree with you, John. You have to come from a righteous place.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's got to be righteous.
Yeah, well, it's got to
This
be
doesn't.
godly,
It
because
doesn't.
that's where righteousness comes from.
I hear them uttering the name God is on our side, and in the same breath you're uttering expletives. I'm like, it just sounds crazy, and it sounds like you're upset because this didn't transpire the way you thought it was going to transpire. But when it's righteous, things will come together. I mean, it's really going to come together. But the problem is the Strait of Hormuz was open prior to the attack.
So you were okay with the bully
Now the
charging a
Strait.
fee every time someone came through there?
Yeah, but here's the problem. The Strait was open prior to Epic Fury.
But
My
the
thing
evil
is,
was
well,
getting money
okay.
off of it and funding terrorism.
Well, here's the thing. They said we were sanctioning them. They weren't making as much money. We were strangling them economically. So I'm sitting here and I'm asking myself a question. Well, now the world is going to be strangled economically because we still haven't gotten the Strait open, but we bombing the crap out of the Iranians. But
What do
how
they
about
have
getting
left?
the Strait open?
So
Yeah,
I
but
gotta take a
how
commercial
do we?
break. John, can you hold through the commercial break? Because I don't want to just hang up on you. I really appreciate you because we disagree on a lot of things, but we're men and we can have a conversation. Can you hold through the break, or do you got to run?
Sure.
All right,
Sure, I
ladies
can
and
hold.
gentlemen, you're listening to John on the radio with Andrew Gosser on 103.9 WYAB. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. John, it's going to be quiet for about 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Is that okay?
Sure, that's fine.
I'm not. I just want to make sure that I'm not being rude and keeping you in the dark or anything like
No,
that.
no,
I appreciate you
no,
calling in.
no.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh God, is it all? Ego. Fun. Yeah, right. Tradition, anybody. Yeah, don't be no wonders. Go back to the bargaining table. You want to put on in this speech, already asymmetric. It's going to come very asymmetric. And we still end up with the China Russia people. We're thinking that.
Yeah, welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. I'm on the phone with Brother John. We're having a civil debate over what's going on in Iran. And Brother John, I interrupted you. I've got a point, but I want to let you finish up the point that you were discussing about righteousness before I give my rebuttal. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, my only issue is when it's righteous, we universally, the world can come together and say, this is wrong. This is a righteous war, or this is a righteous killing, I guess, if you want to say. But at this point, Iran didn't attack the United States in the last 2-3 years or 5 years or 10 years.
Sure they
Let's
have.
just be honest.
Yeah, they have. They've
I mean,
completely sponsored Hamas, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, the Houthis over in Yemen. They shut down the Red Sea and terrorized the hell out of them. We had to go open up the Red Sea. I would strongly disagree with you that Iran has not attacked the United States. They've just hasn't done it in a way that makes CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, or Fox News look good.
Well, I'll add one other point. And I think the president asked the question why Europe doesn't want to get involved in this. And Europe, and again, Iran's missiles can reach Europe.
Yep.
So they are really imminent. If Iran wanted to attack Europe, they could. But what's very interesting about the Europeans is they're basically saying, well, yeah, we know they got ballistic missiles that could reach our homeland, but we still don't see it as an imminent threat.
Because they're making the money off the oil, brother. Lloyd's of London, who insures all those ships that go through the Straits of Hormuz, they're the ones getting all that money, and then they're giving a kickback to Iran. Of course they don't want to end it. They're just as dirty as what we're accusing the United States of doing, if not dirtier.
Well, here's what I'll say, and that's when we come back to righteousness. If it's all about green and crude, has anybody's hands clean in this? Is the U.S. hand clean in this? Is Iran's hand clean in this? Because think about it. We played both sides in the Iran-Iraq war. We delivered the chemical weapons so that they could kill each other. And then we backed Iraq against Iran because after the takeover, and they wanted some balance. So our hands are just as dirty in this stuff. So my thing is this.
How do we wash our hands?
Well, here's the thing. We had to wash our hands because guess what? We weren't in control or running their government.
I know we
didn't have as much.
I know that we have to wash our hands. I'm asking you, how do we wash our hands?
Here's what I would tell you. Get back to the bargaining table. Let's go back and start to hammer out, go back to the old JCPOA agreement and hammer some things out, clean it up. But let's get back to that where we can get the uranium. You can release the sanctions. You agree to not sponsor terrorism, but we need to negotiate. It's because this is going to end in a negotiation. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We can blow up Iran to smithereens. It becomes an asymmetric warfare, which it already is, and the Gulf nations are going to be really under attack daily. So it's going to come down to a negotiation. We got to get back to the table. Let's stop the bombing.
John, I appreciate the phone call, but I got to run. I gotta get to these other points, but I appreciate it. And I do want to answer to two of your points. And I hope you call back again soon. All right. Thank you, brother. So first of all, John said we got to get back to negotiations. You only want to go to negotiations if you're the loser. When you're winning, that's not when you go, I want negotiations. When the United States negotiated with Japan, what happened? We already took out two of their major cities, and Tokyo was next. And we had our foot on the neck of Japan. So when you're winning the war, that is not the time for you to say, let's go to the negotiation table. That would be my first thing. But my other thing is, what is righteousness? Does America even know what righteousness is? Does the world know what righteousness is? Does Israel know what righteousness is? I know it's not Wednesday, but Kim Wade has his back to Christ on Wednesday. Christianity knows what righteousness is, and we're not following it. And I wanted to get into this before Brother John called, but this whole Israel thing, there's two sides to that coin. I see the people who support Israel to the end, and that's just how they're going to be. And I see the people who don't want to do it. And I'm completely indifferent to Israel, if I'm being truthful to you. I'm pro-Jesus and pro-revelation, and however we have to get to that, that's how we get to that. Texters calling in and say, someone go read Jeremiah. Oh, shoot. My computer locked up. So I want to make sure I got it right. Jeremiah 49 verses 35 to the end. And I'm not going to read it, but it's hard for somebody like Brother John to believe Trump is being righteous when he comes out with tweets or X's or whatever we want to call them, dropping F-bombs, using the Lord's name in vain. It's hard for people to get behind that righteousness. But my point to you is that it's not Trump that has to be righteous. It's God. And God has used a lot of really dirty people. He used Samson. He used Gomer. He used Jezebel. Everybody's got their part to play in this. He used Judas. Go do what you must do and do quickly. Whew. Give me goosebumps. I don't want to negotiate with Iran when we're in a position of strength. The rest of the world does. And another point that, John, you brought up that I really want to touch on, and I feel that I am truly qualified to talk about this, having deployed to Afghanistan, having deployed with NATO, Dude, I am great. First of all, special forces for most countries, they're pretty good. There's some that I'm not going to put them at our tier 1 level, but they're definitely tier 2. And they can throw some fisticuffs. They're pipe hitters, and they're going to do a good job. But as far as like conventional Air Force, conventional Navy, conventional Army, there's no one that even comes close to us, man. And there are plenty of videos you can go out on TikTok, YouTube, other places where you have foreign troops who are in the soup, and all of a sudden they hear a A-10 check in on their freak and say, "Where's the bad guys?" And the morale just lights up and changes. We are the best, and there's something to that. We've got to defend that. We can never give that up. It's not a issue of pride. It's not a position of humbleness. It's about a professionalism. In the United States, we're the best at the profession of arms. We've got the best of everything, and if we don't, we're gonna figure out how to get it. And if we have to go to war with some barbed wire, chewed up bubble gum, and a can of WD-40, we're gonna figure out how to win. Maybe throw in some duct tape just for good measure. We cannot sacrifice our high ground that we have worked so hard over the past 250 years to build, to let it go away. But we are letting it go away. We're whizzing it away because we're not forgetting how we got to this place in the first place. And nobody wants to talk about this. No one wants to talk about the lack of God in American culture anymore. Oh, we'll talk about all the demons on the Grammys and the Emmys and whatever other award shows from Hollywood. We'll talk about all of it then. We'll simulate child sacrifice, and we'll protect the pedophiles. We're supposed to be righteous. We are in like Samson territory, where Samson sleeps with the hoe, gets his hair chopped off, loses all of his grace, loses his anointing, and his hair slowly starts growing out, and they blind him. And he goes, "God, just use me one more time." And his hair grows out. He gets the strength, collapses the temple, kills all the Jews. Go read the story of Samson. It's a great story where God can use anybody. God can use Trump. I don't think there's one person. If somebody does like the way that Trump talks, I'd love to talk to you about it, especially from a political point of view. And look, I've worked for President Trump on double campaigns. 2 of his 3 campaigns didn't do anything for him in 2020. Was too very busy getting sued by the union and fighting the union in Illinois for that. But in 2016, made it happen. 2024, made it happen. I support President Trump right now. Andy, I need you to do something. I'd do it in a second. Do I like all the way that he communicates? Nope. But clearly, he's in a position of communication and negotiation that I've never been in. And he feels that's what he needs to do to win. And we go back to his speech where you're going to get so sick and tired of winning. You're going to say, "Please, Mr. President, please, we can't take any more winning." We're winning. And it's like, are we going to listen to the other side that is completely infuriated and in flames? Are we going to listen to them, or are we going to keep on winning? We'll know here in another 24 hours what happened. And you'll be able to listen to it all right here on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
to coexist with lots of different religions, and all of us can just hold hands and be.
And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show. We got an oldie but a goodie. Let's cue this up. There are a group of people. John has brought it up. Hey, we need to negotiate. I just want us to remember who we're negotiating with.
We don't say that Islam is here to live, to coexist with lots of different religions, and all of us can just hold hands and be friends. This religion has been sent to dominate, to wipe out, to take out every other religion, to have the people leave every religion and to accept Islam. And if that requires fighting to achieve it, then it requires fighting to achieve it. Because the greatest purpose for which jihad was legislated is to make the word of Allah the highest and the word of those who disbelieve the lowest, even if the disbelievers hate it. But we're not shy to say it, and we don't find that to be something that we should be shy to say.
That's Hamas, ladies and gentlemen. And we're supposed to negotiate with that. How do you negotiate with someone who says it's their goal to end your way of life? And I'm not just talking to the libs in America or the weak, pathetic Europeans, the whole lot of you outside of Poland, Hungary, and a couple others that I'm forgetting. How do you negotiate that? I'll tell you how England negotiates with it. They get on their back like Bunny Blue and get railed. They lose their culture. England's losing their culture. France is losing their culture. Spain is losing their culture. Germany is losing their culture. Denmark is losing their culture. But we must negotiate. Sometimes you just need to negotiate with a 357. It's terrible. It's terrible. Then this came through while we were on break. It came through my trending feed, and this is coming from Fox News and Brett Baer. I've listened to about 15 seconds of it, but I think it's important that we have a realistic idea of what the hell is actually going on out there in the real world when we're not insulated by our X, our Twitter, our TikTok.
But I just got off the phone with the president, and he called, and I said, listen, if you were to put odds on it, what were the odds that this is going to end up being a negotiated deal? He said he wasn't going to put odds on it, but he said 8 p.m. is happening. That's what he said. He said, it is, if we get to that point, there is going to be an attack like they have not seen. Now, he's sticking to that at this point. Now, he said if negotiations move forward today and there is something concrete, that could change. But at this hour, he didn't want to put odds on it, but he said it is moving forward with the plans that we have. That's a huge deal.
And that is Brett Baer from Fox News. Full credit to Fox News and Brett Baer for putting that out there. And it sounds to me like the president is negotiating. You either do it the way we want to do it, or you're going to die. Now, I've got in my timeline, if you go back to my X timeline, I've got many Iranians, both who are here in the United States and inside Iran, who want the United States to continue to go after the Islamic Republic, the IRGC, the mullahs, the clerics, the sheikhs, the ayatollahs. They want it. They're the ones sitting there living through that hellhole, not you here in Mississippi in your air conditioning, getting fat off a government check, rolling down to the local Starbucks to get your cafe mocha latte. Some of you are even wimpy and get it iced. And you're trying to discuss world peace and how to negotiate with terrorists. I mean, the one thing that we can say about Trump, if nothing else, is the man knows how to negotiate. He's better than any other president we've had in negotiation. He's better than Reagan, better than Bush, better than Obama, definitely better than Biden. And to think that you've got the 25th Amendment trending worldwide on social media platforms, worrying about President Trump when we had basically someone who was in comatose in Joe Biden at the presidency, and the auto pen was running the country. That's to me where righteousness fails, Brother John, is where was the righteousness of the Democrats then when we could have removed President Biden, who was clearly dysfunctional, crapping his pants in front of the Pope? I mean, that's just the truth. It's on record. You got the video. Oh, man, I pooped my pants. I mean, if we can't use the 25th Amendment for that, we're definitely not going to use it for this. Which brings up another great point. To everybody who was for Trump, but now they just can't handle it. So are you saying you're pro Kamala and pro Tim Walz? You're now pro Democrat that is allowing the siphoning of all of our funds off? And I can hear Rick. Andrew, the Republicans are doing it too. Yeah, I know, Rick. They have to be held to account too. But it's Tim Walz state. And it's Ilhan Omar's party. The Republicans are just saying, oh, I voted against it. And we've gone through the tricks that they do. You know, they vote against it in committee and they get it all how they want it in committee. They do all the hard votes in committee. The chairs will sit there and not bring certain legislation up for a vote. And that's how they get by it. And then once it gets up to the full vote, that's when they all of a sudden become either Democrats or Republicans, whatever side they have to be on that day. I think the world is demanding righteousness. But the world has become full of itself. We've become fat on the calf, high on the hog. We don't want to stand up for righteousness anymore. And those that do stand up for righteousness, we belittle and besmirch. God help you if you hear a street preacher out on the corner. You hear something that hits you, and you know you're doing wrong. We got to stop that. But it's okay if Iran sells oil so it can fund terrorism, as long as the terrorism is not in the United States, right? As long as they're completely content with what they have right now. They'll sit there and they'll consolidate over the next 40, 50 years in England and in Europe. They'll build up their army and their power base there, and then they'll come across over here. I know that in our military, we read On War by Clausewitz. We read all this newfangled, new age, wave era theory on war. But you know what it's going to go back to? Sun Tzu. And if you read what he says, it's not looking like anything what we're doing now. We do need a return to righteousness. I think the United States and the world would be in a lot better place if people were in the pew on Sunday instead of watching the football. And I'm looking at myself. Arsenal sometimes play on Sunday. I do turn off my phone and I don't get updates while I'm at church. But I'd be lying to you all if I didn't say as soon as I got out of church, what's the first thing I do? Check my phone. Hey, Arsenal winning. What's going on? Am I truly being righteous by spending all that time in church, worshiping and everything, knowing in the back of my head I'm thinking about something else? I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. And we are back at the Andrew Gosser Show. My, how time flies when we're having fun. A heavy show today, don't you think? I mean, we got World War, the threat of more war, Islam on the march, making Europe look like the weak weasels that they are. People from Britain hoping that Dude 44 Bravo was captured. And then they can't understand why America goes after our fallen and those who go behind enemy lines. Dude, think about this. And I know it's kind of a bad word, but how badass is it that we can send over 200 troops 200 miles into enemy territory, pluck out a guy, have our escape vehicles trapped in the sand, so we send in 3 more, blow the whole thing to hell, and get out of there without so much as a scratch or a thumbnail? I know I'm not supposed to be thinking fleshy, but man, all I can hear is America. Mm-mm. People are talking about books and not movies already, how it's going to be the best thing since Oh Dark 30. And it will be. Trending worldwide. Panicans. Don't panic. Pray. Pray for discernment and wisdom by the people who have been duly elected and put into these positions. If you're not sure, go look up Iranians for war on X and see the hundreds and thousands of videos of where they're begging for help and the Western world denies them, pushes them out of sight, out of mind. That's it. That's the key. Oh man, I don't got any more time. Out of sight, out of mind. Do it what the drive-bys do best. Throw in a 30-second video of somebody pretending to suffer. How many times has CNN been caught cheating in their photography and reporting, and we're taking them as gospel? How many times does ABC have to lie to us, CBS have to lie to us, NBC have to lie to us, before maybe we start believing in our military and our people? I'm not buying it. I'm not falling for the propaganda. I know good people are falling for it, and I don't even hold it against them. I wish President Trump didn't drop the F-bomb or say some of the other things that he said. But I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, it's all dead. It's all over. F-bomb dropped. The United States Navy heard an F-bomb from their commander-in-chief. That's the end of it. Turn the ship around. Abraham Lincoln, go home. Ford, go home. There's a fire on the Ford. The laundry room blew up. Berthing right next door to it melted. It's not worth it. Oh, woe is me. Let me get my CBD. Let me drown myself in my own tears and sorrows and social media. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not, the majority of you listening to this radio show right now are Americans. And we're tough and we're gritty. We might have forgotten our history, but our history is there, but you have to go out and search for it. You have to take your core values seriously. Integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do, duty, honor, country, honor, courage, commitment. Take your pick. Now is not the time for the weak. It's time for the strong. It's time for those of us who are leaders in our communities, in our counties, in the state, to get behind our U.S. military and to get behind our president. Not sit there and worry about tweets and truths. That's what they call them, truths. It was just corrected. Thank you, listener. Anyways, 8 p.m. tonight is coming, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be here talking about it on WYAB. Take care, be blessed, and amen.